This is LA Kings Fan Talk with your boys, Rodney, Rob, Darren, Mike, and Joe. What's up, everyone? Summer is over, hockey season is here, and we're back to talk LA Kings hockey with our 2023-24 season preview. Boys ready?
Let's roll.
All right. Let's start with the recap of the off-season moves. So, no longer with the Kings. Gabe Vilardi, Alex Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari, Zach McEwen, Sean Durzi, Sean Walker, Cal Peterson, Jonas Corpusalo. New addition to the Kings are Pierre-Luc Dubois, who wants to be called PL, apparently. PL Dubois. Trevor Lewis on his reunion tour. Andreas Englund, Cam Talbot, and David Riddick. Darren, let's start with you. Using an A to F letter grade, how do you rate these off-season moves?
I think I'd give it like a B. I think betting on talent and like draft pedigree, like you do, trading a couple guys for Dubois, opening up some roster spots and stuff like that, especially with the cap supposed to be going up, whatever amount it goes up the next couple seasons. Like, I think setting yourself up for those that way is a good move. I think we all talked about it before about how we think they overpaid a little bit at certain points for PL and moving Durzi and stuff like that. But I mean, you gotta give up guys to get guys sometimes.
Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it an A. Definitely wouldn't call it a D or a fail in any way. So somewhere in between there. I'll agree. B sounds good. Everything's gonna change as soon as we find out how good we are or how bad we are, obviously. But on paper, I think we're a better team. The moves that were made make us a better team. The question is are we a better organization though? That remains to be seen. So,
Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I could agree with what Rob's last statement was, that definitely a better team. There's no way you can give the offseason moves an A without improving the goaltending, which they didn't. It's obviously the biggest weakness for the team going into the season. PLD or whatever the heck he's going to be called. How much better that makes us. Obviously, on paper, it makes us better. It got center depth, potentially 3 scoring lines now. I guess my only concern is that enough to offset the weakness in goaltending?
All right, let's talk roster battles. Let's start with the forwards. Right now, the Kings' top 3 lines are slotted as Byfield, Kopitar, Kempe, Fiala, Dubois, Arvidsson, Moore, Deneau, and Kaliev. So the fourth line will obviously be centered by Lizotte, but who's going to play the wings? So we got Trevor Lewis, who was brought up to help with the penalty kill, so he'll likely play a lot of the games, which leaves Grunstrom and a handful of young players vying for the last couple of spots. So with the news of Fagemo and Thomas being placed on waivers today, and with Lee and Madden both going through some injuries, that leaves Jad, Turcotte, and Laferriere battling for the last couple of spots here. So, Darren, what do you think? Which one or two of these forwards are going to make the team?
I think it's going to be Anderson Dolan, most likely. I think he's the most flexible. He's out of waivers. I think he wouldn't have come back if they didn't give him a little bit of a guarantee of, a better than 50% chance to make the roster. I think it'd be fun if Laferriere could take that spot. Obviously, I been a huge Turcotte fan, but he's just been made of glass. So again, same thing. If he could make the team, that'd be awesome. But I think it's Jad for now, and send those other guys down to Ontario to wreak havoc.
So you're more about not losing Jad as opposed to somebody actually having a great camp and actually winning that spot. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's what it sounded like.
I think Jad is the most flexible of those guys. Like, he plays center, he can play the wing. He could probably be put in as a penalty killer, whereas I don't think you could do that with Laferriere necessarily. Like, Turcotte maybe could slot into a similar spot as Jad, but
I thought we already had that in Lewis and Grunstrom. Why do we need another one? Don't we need more
you can
goal
never
scoring?
have too many penalty killers
Or
Never
goal
have too many
scorers.
penalty- we have a lot of goal scorers.
Rob, what do you think?
If you're asking me what I think is going to happen, is my answer is going to be different than what I want to happen. That's for sure. I think Jad is going to be the guy. I think that's what's going to happen. Turcotte, I think Turcotte above Laferriere as well. Jad's just built NHL strong. You know, he's over 200 pounds. He's a thick kid. When you look at a kid like Laferriere, you know, he's only $170, I think he's listed at. You know, he's a little slight, which is, you know, Tyler Madden's problem, which is everyone's problem on the team, it seems. I would love to see Laferriere make it, though. If you ask me what I want to happen, I like Laferriere. I like wingers that can shoot the puck, that the upside so big. But what I think is going to happen is it's Jad's already there. These other guys are just up for looks. I think Turcotte had a real good preseason. He's looked the most NHL ready I've seen him since we've had him. And as far as him being made of glass, I think it's time to just throw him up against the wall. And if he shatters, then he shatters and he's gone. And we'll close the book on him and let him have a great comeback story with another organization. But if he's not glass, he's good. He's very skilled at a lot of things, a lot of NHL things. He's got a great motor. He's got a great IQ. You know, I would love to see him pan out. So I think it's time for him to be put up there. And the second he just gets sideswiped and someone blows up his head again, then it's like, okay, that's like the fifth time. It's time to move on.
What do you think, Joe?
I don't think anybody that's under an NHL contract is going to get waived. Like I would presume anybody that's waiver exempt.
That's exactly what I was meaning by what do I think is going to happen is different than what I want to happen, because what's going to happen is they're not going to send someone that's not waiver exempt down. They're going to be smart about it. And Turcotte, your three choices was Turcotte, Laferriere, and Jad. Jad's the only one that's not waiver exempt, which is why we're going to keep him.
Yeah, they're going to keep him, and they'll if he's, you know, one of these two, they decide that you know, 2 weeks, a month down the line, somebody's underperforming on the NHL club, and one of those guys is like looking like they really deserve a shot, then they, you know, might throw caution into the wind with the proven NHL talent or whatever I said before. But yeah, I don't know. The roster there seems set, but from the middle of the summer
Forward. Yeah, I think a forward position we're set. I think the other thing too, though, is we have seen Blake has not been afraid to like just send a guy down. He did that with Peterson last year. He's done it with Clegg in the past. Like, the guy doesn't perform, but I don't think preseason is the time that he's going to make that decision. He's usually been in season. So I think I agree with you, Joe. Like, if 2 months from now, you know, Grunstrom and Lewis are not playing great and we could have Laferriere and Turcotte up, he's going to do it.
Is anybody heartbroken about Fagemo being placed on waivers? Or upset?
Yeah, well, not upset, but I think there is still potential there.
For sure. I think he'd be a interesting. Joe always talks about how we're too lefty dominant. I think having him be part of our top 9 would be interesting, but who are you bumping out of the top 9?
Do you think the Kings actually had Fagemo rated above Jad, but they're trying to sneak him in on the first round of waivers because teams still have a lot of guys on their team? Maybe less of a chance they'll pick him up, and then they can expose Jad later.
Possibly.
Are Victor Arvidsson and Trevor Lewis are only right-handed forwards? I'm looking at this list here.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, the potential starting 12, yes, there are only 2 righties.
That's insane.
Rodney, when you were saying the lines, you had Kaliev with Moore and Deneau. They got him with Fiala and Dubois, but
Yeah.
I think some of the lines were messed up because Arvidsson was out, right?
yeah, exactly. So
I think either way, those.
But
those
there's still
9
the top
are gonna be our
9. They're still top 9.
Yeah, like I don't.
in Australia, they had the lines exactly how I had it, except I would flip Kaliev and Kempe. I really would love to see PLD, Fiala, and Kempe as our top line. I just think those 3 elite guys all on the same line would be just so awesome.
Yeah.
And then Kopitar doesn't have to play against the other team's
Right,
best defenders.
and just let Kopitar teach Byfield and Kaliev how to do it, But
For sure.
it's almost there.
All right, let's move on to the defensemen. Obviously, we have Doughty and Anderson on the first pairing, Gavrikov and Roy on the second pairing. What's going to happen on that third pairing? So with Movarara, right, Nick Nixon?
Yeah, that's right. No,
that's the right way. That's how he
it's
said
not
it
just
is pronounced.
Nick Nixon.
No,
that is how
he said
that
it.
is how it's pronounced. And all you idiots on Twitter that have the balls to talk crap about Nick Nixon, screw you. Nick Nixon is 10 times the play-by-play Alex Faust is.
However, I did listen to
uh,
Alex Faust today, and he was a great football commentator.
I was going to say that. I saw that he was doing football now. Good for him. That's where he
I
belongs.
listened to a little bit of the game. He did pretty good.
Good for him.
All right. So with Movarara being placed on waivers, who will be the third pair? Who do you think will make the cut out of Spence, Clark, England, and Bjornfoot? Joe, let's start with you.
The Clark, Spence, Bjornfort. Yeah, I think Bjorn. Well, no, I think England's the odd man out. It's my guess. Although those are all left. No, Spence is already. Yeah, I think Spence has looked good. So there's a little bit of the preseason I've seen, and I know there's a big ball washing fest going on in Australia for him being born there, but no, he's looked good. I actually noticeably good. And maybe I'm out to lunch there because I've been watching games on my phone and only.
No, you're not. He's looked really good.
So yeah, I would say, and I would hate to see Bjornfort. I don't know. Do you think he would clear waivers? I think if you are confident he'll clear waivers, then maybe. But I don't know. I don't even know what this England guy brings. Like he's supposed to be like somewhat of a tough guy, right? Or physical.
England.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a bigger like. I'd say he's
like a younger Edler in his older years. If that makes sense.
Where he's not like gonna do anything crazy, but he like as far as offensively, but he's.
Yeah,
I mean,
throw a punch and.
Clark's going to make the team. The thing is, clear as day, Clark's going to make the team, right? Spence, I would say, would have to. And so it's between those two, Bjornfort and I don't know. I don't know if coach or management doesn't like Bjornfort, but I don't know. I don't think he's ever gotten a fair shake. Didn't he play like almost full season 2 years ago and got nothing last year? Makes no sense to me. But maybe they see something I don't. That's why they get paid the big bucks.
All right,
but
I'm gonna go next then, because you said you think Clark makes the team for sure. I think they're gonna send Clark down, which I don't like at all, because I think he's probably the most talented out of that group.
Oh, it's just because he's wavered.
Yeah, they're gonna send him down. Start Spence in England. They brought England up for one reason. It's just his physicality, and
he's a right-hander too, right?
He's a lefty, but they don't have anybody that's physical on him really. Other than England now, maybe Grunstrom a little bit of Mikey Anderson, but
Yeah.
So I think just for that reason, England will make the
You
team.
know what? Honestly, like on that side of things, I can't like having much of an issue with that. Like I was okay with it with Byfield. Granted, I think Clark's earned his spot there more, but I'd put it this way. I'd rather see Bjornfurt play NHL games, for the first couple weeks of the season, get in at least a few of them. And if you think like, hey, it's worth being waiver fodder at that point, then see it through that way, and then bring Clark up. But yeah, I don't think that's like a bad move. I think that's a prudent move to make, just to make sure that. But he's got to see game time too, right? If you're going to expose him, if he's the odd man out, which looks like, in my opinion, he is.
Clark
But
over Rauer,
I
top
think
pair.
our team lacks so much physicality that if this England guy brings whatever, if he'll at least put his palm in somebody's face, and
Right.
he can skate an NHL shift, for 10, 12 minutes a night, then yeah, leave him on the roster.
What do
And
you
if he falls flat on his face, get rid of him. So
What do you think, Darren?
I think they're gonna keep Spence, but I think they're gonna go like 8 to 10 game stints. And it's gonna be Spence for 8 to 10 games, and then Clark for 8 to 10 games, and they're just gonna rotate them in, get them each some NHL time. I think I want them to play Clark because I think, like you said, he's the most talented. But Spence is right there, and the one thing I don't see them doing is 2 righties on that bottom pair again, or like there's the put Roy and Spence together and Clark and Gavrikov. I just don't see that. They tried that with Jersey, and I don't think they ever want to put 2 righties together again. So I think it's gonna be Spence and probably Bjornfot because he's a first round draft pick. The teams don't like to give up on their guys. But like Joe said, I would be perfectly happy if they kept England if he can, put together a couple NHL shifts and gives us some toughness back there.
Rob?
I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Anything they do is not going to be right. They have put themselves into a situation to where we are going to lose or not have at our disposal a pretty good defenseman. All I know, if I'm running the ship, Brant Clark, by far, especially in that last game, Clark and Spence both played in the same game, and Clark by far is the better defenseman. He is dynamic at both ends. He's different. And if he's not on the NHL roster, I think people that are making the decisions need to check themselves. Clark needs to be on the NHL roster, plain and simple. So I don't care what else happens with anything else. As long as Clark is in our starting lineup, that's the decision I think that needs to be made. And then you guys can complain all you want about Spence should be there and we need England size and Bjornfot. How do we waste, such a touted player with such great leadership and whatever. You could argue all that you want. Spence is good. Bjornfot's good. England's usable. Clark is different. He needs to be in the starting lineup.
Would you keep 2 righties on the bottom pair?
Personally, I would. Personally, I would have. Well, actually, to me, I think Spence is really, really good. He doesn't make the team for me. He's the one that I send down, and then I think it's Gavrikov Clark second pairing. I don't care about Roy. Oh, look at all the great synergy they had together last year. Gavrikov and Roy. I don't care about that. Clark needs to be on our second pairing with Gavrikov. And then you put Roy down the bottom with whoever you want. If you want to have 2 righties and have Spence play as off wing, or if you want to put Bjornfot there, personally, I would have had Move Rare there. But that's already gone already. So,
yeah. Would you put Clark on the top power play unit over Doughty?
Oh yeah. When you say over Doughty, yes. Would I put him on the top power play unit? that remains to be seen. I don't think Doughty should be on the top unit.
Who would you put there if it's not Clark then? Of the other four that should make the
Spence.
roster,
It's kidding.
Spence.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yes.
joking.
No, seriously.
Well, but you were just ready to jettison him, so
Yeah, no,
how there he's not, right? Sorry.
I just don't think Doughty is a great power play quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's time.
Yeah,
like
but
he's still like a top 15 defenseman on the power play by like stats and stuff like that.
He's like reliable in terms of holding the puck and stuff like that. He's not like, yeah, obviously he's not the one-time specialist or whatever. And yeah, but he's reliable. Generally speaking, makes the smart play, but it's just not.
Penalty kill all day long.
What's that?
Yeah,
penalty kill all day long. Power play,
for
I think
sure.
it's time to move on.
Fair enough.
All right, let's move on to goalies. The majority of analysts out there believe that the Kings took a step backward and that our goalies are the weakest part of our roster. Some analysts also believe that we will miss the playoffs due to our lack of goalie talent, unless we make a move by the deadline. So I hear you going there, Rob. What are your thoughts on the goalie situation?
It's the same as it was last year. I made a comment last year that our goalies suck when we, with the 5 million Quick and 5 million Peterson. And if we just need to make a trade in the middle of the season, then let's do it. And it wasn't a trade. It was actually a call up. We're still in the same situation to where if we just get average goaltending, we're going to be okay. And those analysts that sit there and say it's our weakest part of our roster, they're correct. But just because it's the weakest part of the roster doesn't mean that it's terrible.
Yeah. We don't need it to be Vasilevsky, Shesterkin level to be
correct,
competent team-wise.
Right. And we can sit here and see how we go. And there's always, at trade deadline, there's always goalies available that could come in and look what we did last year. Korpisalo was pretty damn good, but hopefully we won't need to get there. Talbot's capable.
Yeah.
Very capable. And I'm still a Copley fan. Let's go, Copley. You do your thing and prove to everybody. Be like the Vegas goalie was. No one's ever heard of, and now you're a Stanley Cup champion.
Or Jim Carrey from back in the day.
Yeah, sure. And not that Jim Carrey, the other Jim Carrey, right?
Yeah.
Darren, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like Rob said, we just need them to be league average, and we'll be fine. I think Talbot is more than fine being a league average goalie. Like, I can't remember who posted on Twitter, but they were like, "Oh, which of these goalies would you want at the start of the offseason?" I was like, "Whoever's cheapest. It doesn't matter." Like he listed, 6 or 7 guys. I was like, "They're all the same player, so give me the cheapest one." And Talbot, I think, is the cheapest one of that group that he listed. And I don't think we need to spend up on a goalie because of how we play, and we can make up for the deficiencies in some goaltending with our defense and our structure.
So who starts day one? Which one of the goalies does not make the team gets sent down to Ontario? Or
I think Rittich is it Rittich or Riddick? Riddick. I think he's going down. I think he's going to be.
Dave.
He could. Yeah, I think he could be like Copley though. I mean, if Copley or Talbot get injured or, don't play to league average levels, we could bring up Riddick and he'll be fine. I think if we have to get down into the Portillo level, we might be into a little bit of trouble. He hasn't looked great this preseason, but I think he's still learning. So
I think he's still a couple years out. He needs a lot of games at the AHL level.
For sure. So, but I think as long as 2 of those 3 are league average, we'll be fine. And I said it before, Blake is not afraid to make those moves mid-season to cut bait and go get something like that. So if we have to go get another, average to above average goalie, we'll be fine.
So who starts game one?
I think Talbot. Talbot will probably play like 48 games, and Copley plays 38 or something like that. Like just about 50-50, something like that.
You don't think it'll be back to back and then play the hot hand after the first few
Yeah, they
games?
could do that. I think it'll work out to be about 50-50. I mean, if you told me each goalie plays 40 games, I'd believe you. So,
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much it's all been said. But yeah, I was thinking, or when Rob was first talking, I'm like, it could turn into a disaster really quickly. And then I started thinking about last year in the first half of the season, how bad Quick was and how bad Cal Peterson became. And I think we're fine in that regard. But
All right, who starts the first game then, Joe?
I have no idea. I'll say Talbot just because I think he's kind of pegged to be that guy.
Rob, who starts the first game?
I would like to see Copley. I would like to see Copley. I would like to see him be the number one guy just because he earned it last year. I think he got a raw deal in the playoffs last year, and I hope that doesn't hurt his confidence. Albeit that I don't think he's the greatest goaltender, but I think the players rallied around him. Yeah, and I was going to say another thought. Go back 15 years ago when the Kings were just letting goals pour in, and they made their focus on defense, and they were able to make average goalies look like they're decent players. Martin Jones would be one of those, and go back further than that. I'm not going to name names, but so I can't think of any. But the Kings were able to play defense and cover up their mistakes. So if you have enough talent up front, goaltending doesn't become a huge focus. If you're scoring 5-6 goals a game, you're going to be in the thick of it for being a playoff team. So
Jonathan Bernier is what you're thinking of too.
Potentially,
Bernier,
I'm thinking even before
Campbell.
that. Sean Burke is last year just being in the NHL, like just random names like that.
Let's do a little bit of prediction time. Let's just everybody go through one player. Give me a prediction for the season for them. Joe, who do you got?
I'm going to say career year for Kevin Fiala.
Nice. Career all around, just overall points. I like
Points, yeah.
All right,
Definitely.
Rob?
Back-to-back 40-goal seasons for Adrian Kempe.
Nice.
Back to back, right?
No, he didn't have 40 the year before.
I thought he did
30, I think.
He had 30 the year before, but
okay.
This is the first 40-goal scorer we had since Luke.
Darren, what do you got?
I'll take Kaliev to score 20 goals.
Okay. Rob's boy.
I don't know
Kaliev,
if,
right?
how close was he to that last year? He was on pace for it, but I think he slowed
had
down,
13.
right?
He had 13 goals in 56 games.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
I still think the Kings send Clark down, but I feel when they bring him up, he's going to play so good he never gets sent back down.
Calder?
So that's what I'm calling.
Calder
Trophy?
We'll see. We'll see where that goes.
All right.
All right, finally, let's do this really quick. Where do you think the Kings finish this year, Darren?
I'll take them to win the Pacific
Okay.
and at least make it out of the first round, if not make it to the conference finals, at least.
All right. Joe, what do you think?
I'll take them second in the Pacific, and they're going to win the Stanley Cup.
Nice. Rob, what do you got?
I'll combine both your answers and say we win the Pacific and we win the Stanley Cup.
Wow. I'm more of a realist. I'm going to say we finish third in the Pacific. But then, like 2012, we get hot and make a run in the playoffs, win the Stanley Cup. So that's three of us having the Kings
Yeah, that's
winning the
Darren.
Stanley Cup. 3 out of 4, yeah. So, well, there you have it, Kings fans. Place your bets now. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, stay classy. Go Kings, go!
Okay.